The Money in the Bank briefcase is weird, because every time I stand here and I try to argue that it has fallen off, you get a brilliant moment like Damian Priest at WrestleMania this year and you think, maybe that's just that classic wrestling fan hate syndrome in me. I'm probably just overthinking this. But
wait for it.
Wait, if we actually look at the Money in the Bank briefcase and look at what it has become versus what it used to be, it kinda has fallen off. And I'm primarily talking about the men's briefcase having fallen off, with the success rate of a cash-in for the women currently being 100% after 8 holders, with albeit Tiffany Stratton's success currently unknown. Whereas the men's briefcase after 27 holders has featured 19 successful cash-ins, 6 failures, and 2 steals. And if you want to go ahead and talk about the amount of time that someone has held the briefcase, Carmella is the longest in history at 287 days, and Kane the shortest at just 49 minutes. My GOAT, however, and the Rated R superstar Edge set the blueprint for Money in the Bank cash-ins by winning at WrestleMania 21 and then cashing in at New Year's Revolution 2006. And the way Edge went ahead and cashed in on a vulnerable John Cena paved the way for so many other cash-ins throughout history. Next, you had the contract won by RVD at WrestleMania 22, who demonstrated the other way of cashing in the contract, deciding to announce his cash-in for ECW's One Night Stand in 2006 and going on to win the title. Essentially, what I'm trying to go ahead and illustrate with these two cash-ins right here is that while they may be different in the way they were executed, it's kind of two sides of the same coin. One is the classic heel cash-in blueprint, and the other is the good guy cash-in, where I tell you exactly when I'm cashing in like a man. It's a type of cash-in that we'd go ahead and see a few years later with John Cena, but we'll get to that.
I am Mr. Money in the Bank!
Really? Shut your mouth!
Bank!
In 2007, Mr. Kennedy would win the contract at WrestleMania, but man, what a sad downfall within itself. Sometimes I go to sleep at night thinking about exactly what Mr. Kennedy could have become in WWE, and just as I'm drifting off into that sensual slumber, Mr. Kennedy losing the briefcase to Edge not long after WrestleMania 23 and never truly recovering before leaving the company a couple years later. Edge proving once again why he is the ultimate opportunist, cashing in on The Undertaker on SmackDown after The Undertaker had just been blacked by Mark... Ooh, what was that? What?
The Rock just got word.
Oh, it's time for another retro DDJ moment. You're right, we'll be right back after this.
He says, what do you think of Man United this season?
And then after this, my Chicago GOAT CM Punk would go ahead and win 2 back-to-back Money in the Bank briefcases and cash in successfully twice. If you're British, I'm swearing at you right now.
Kicked off the top. Punk does it. Punk's done it 2 years in a row.
We then move on to WrestleMania 26, where the all-American, Toto Americano SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 legend Jack Swagger would go ahead and win the briefcase and cash in successfully a couple days later, depending on if you count the tape delay 2 days or 5 days. It's up to you. Either way, he held that big gold with pride. We love you, Jack. I do anyway. And I will honestly die on the hill and say that WrestleMania 26 Money in the Bank ladder match is severely underrated.
It took my breath away.
But alas, I digress. This is not about my agenda.
Wait for it.
Today. 2010 would also signify another huge moment in the history of the briefcase with the introduction of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Kane and The Miz winning at the inaugural event for their respective brands, Kane cashing in on the same night, and The Miz with the infamous cash-in on Randy Orton beginning his ascent to the main event of WrestleMania.
Finale! The Miz! Here's the cover! Pump in the leg! He did it! He did it!
And while we're here talking about things that fell off, it's worth mentioning that Ronda Rousey was in the crowd the night The Miz cashed in.
Put the fries in the bag, bro. You washed.
In 2011, Alberto Del Rio and Daniel Bryan would win, with the WrestleMania variation of the match being scrapped altogether in favor of the pay-per-view. Which I won't go ahead and lie to you, when I was a kid, this really bummed me out. I was there on the road to WrestleMania 27 waiting for it to be announced. Like, oh god, they're gonna do it. This is my first year fully watching and everything. They're gonna do Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. Never came. Never came. You know, it's kind of like finding out that wrestling is fake.
You what? Say it ain't so, cuz.
You didn't know?
No.
I'm so sorry. Del Rio's cash-in happening successfully at SummerSlam 2011, because remember when Kevin Nash randomly came back and said, fuck your cult of personality, I'm Big Daddy Cool? Yeah. Although, to be fair, it did lead to one of the funniest Raw segments in history.
Said, yeah, I'll send you some tickets, there'll be a will call.
In the main event, stick the winner for me. Would you like to see the text message on my telephone?
Want to see the text message my little sister Shalene sent me last night? Here it is. OMG, Kevin Nash, WTF, thought he was dead, LOL.
Happy, happy, joy, joy. There's no doubt
I
about it.
went ahead, I picked him up. That's all it was, punk.
Was business.
Don't really answer this, it's a rhetorical question. If Triple H asked you to jump off a bridge, would you?
This is epic.
Take a shower, hit the weights, get a clue.
I know this is absolutely not what this video is about, but he genuinely says that line as if he's lagging in a video game. It's as if he's lagging in real life. He's like, take...
What are you doing?
Daniel Bryan is Mr. Money in the Bank.
Daniel Bryan's win led to his rise to the main event scene too, going from nerd harassed by Michael Cole on NXT to bona fide yes-chanting star and eventual WrestleMania main eventer. Now, in 2012, this is where I feel like the briefcase began to shift a little bit. And no, I'm not talking about Dolph Ziggler's cash-in, and not even talking about his win or anything to do with Dolph Ziggler on the SmackDown side, no. His cash-in will forever be one of the loudest and greatest Raw moments of all time.
Watch out, look at this, Zigzag! Cover! We got us a new world champion!
Seriously, I know we go on a lot about like 2008 Jeff Hardy was bigger than Obama and all these different eras of certain superstars that were in their prime and at their absolute best, at the zenith of their career. 2012-13 Dolph Ziggler, that's what that means. I can't even... Man. But where I really feel like things began to unravel is, ironically, with a man that rarely ever lost around this time. John Cena. John Cena going ahead and winning the Raw Money in the Bank briefcase in mid-2012 and announcing his cash-in ahead of time for Raw 1000 against the then WWE champion CM Punk. But... the Big Show's summer blockbuster role that year being the world's largest hater. He goes ahead and costs Cena the match, making him the first person to officially fail his cash-in. And I'm not counting Mr. Kennedy as a Money in the Bank failure since he never actually got to cash it in. No, Big Show, you bald-headed 400+ pound Netflix sitcom having ass jabroni, why wouldn't you just go ahead and let him win the championship and then challenge him after and then take the title from him? You bald-headed. For as much as I did really enjoy 2012 as a wrestling year when I was younger, the entire cash-in run in hindsight here was pretty stupid. From the whole former champions Money in the Bank match to the cash-in to the fail, it was a complete waste of the briefcase that year on the Raw side. Because I mean, the SmackDown briefcase where Dolph Ziggler won kind of showed that it's all these guys that, again, what the Money in the Bank briefcase has always been about is these guys that are just on the brink of reaching the big gold, the big gold or the WWE championship. They're just right there. But they need that little, they need that little leg up, even though Dolph Ziggler had already been world champion kind of at that point, technically. Long story. But regardless, this was Dolph's ascent, okay? This was him about to dolphin dive into that main event scene. How many different variations of dives can I get into this video? Holy shit. This was Dolph Ziggler's way of tope suicide. I'm sorry. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, on the Raw side, only having former champions, it's almost kind of like going up to someone who's really rich, like, I don't know, one of the sharks from Shark Tank and being like, hey, we're gonna give you a chance to win $1,000.
Why?
No pop.
What's the point? The Money in the Bank briefcase should just be about elevating new people who need that. But at the same time, if it meant that my best friend in the whole wide world, CM Punk, wasn't going to lose that WWE championship for a little bit longer, then 12-year-old me said, hey, let's keep cooking here. Let's keep doing this. I'm gonna hop back into a game of domination in Modern Warfare 3, the good one, and we're gonna keep cooking, okay? Good shit, Phil. I'm locked in. Oh my god, another ACR 6.8 class with Assassin Pro and Sleight of Hand and Specialist? Go to hell.
It's true.
That's exactly what I'm using, but go to hell. And speaking of being a hater, it's like in that moment, Big Show passed his bald-headed welcome to hatred arse through to Cena, because Cena would not only screw over Damian Sannow's cash-in the next year, but he would also screw over Baron Corbin's briefcase in 2017. But at least in 2013, we had Randy Orton's cash-in, which albeit, in the moment we might have been like, because we all love Daniel Bryan, and it was like, what the hell? Triple H is turning heel, Randy Orton's screwing him over, they're never gonna see this guy as a true long-reigning champion, what the hell? 13-year-old me didn't agree with this, but I'm comfortable to say that Randy Orton cashing in, it was a pretty cool story beat, I'll be honest. Oh, I won't lie to you, it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Frustrating, but cool.
Oh, go. Doubt, no doubt.
D-Bra, I've been saying this guy's been in my fave five for some time. And in New Orleans, man. Well, that was special, Vic. Going back to Damien Sandow's briefcase in 2013, that's when the briefcase kind of started to mean less and less slowly, year by year.
You gotta love it.
Damien Sandow! This cannot be not like this! Sandow is Mr. Money in the Bank!
You take a guy with a pretty entertaining character, lots of room to grow, you give him an opportunity to do something, and he loses to John Cena, who is literally growing another human in his elbow at this point. How the hell are you gonna lose to an arm-pregnant John Cena? Come on, man. You know that episode of Family Guy where Peter has a bit of a growth on his neck and it leads to chip? Cena literally had John Jr. Watanabe on his wrist in his elbow, and Sandow still wasn't allowed to beat him. That's crazy.
John Cena lifts up Sandow, the AA! The cover! Hooks the leg! Cena does it!
And despite having a pretty sweet custom Money in the Bank briefcase and tons of potential, he would never really recover after this and kind of fall into irrelevancy. Although I will go ahead and give him credit for one thing before he left and after the fall off. Damien Mizdow, he was special. In 2014, Seth Rollins would win the briefcase fresh off his iconic heel turn on the Shield. In the crowd had to have been a paid actor. I know Brock Lesnar guy says that it was him or whatever. No, you're a paid actor. You always have been, okay? You think you can work me? No. And you all know that infamous call. Rollins with the heist of the century would cash in to end one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time in 2015.
Rollins with the heist of the century! Brilliant!
And to be fair to Seth Rollins, he would go on to have a pretty decent run with the world title, even eventually picking up the United States title, having that awesome white attire at SummerSlam, having the Sting stuff, the Jon Stewart thing, I mean, but all of that would happen until he was eventually forced to relinquish the title due to injury. And of course, during that same summer, Sheamus picking up the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he would go on to cash in successfully at Survivor Series to win the WWE title. The one for my money that is really absolutely A star. I said A++ for my American viewers. The one that really takes the cake in this era, Dean Ambrose, 2016.
Oh yeah, man.
Special. Money in the Bank 2016 is in fact one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time from start to finish. And on a larger scale, 2016 is one of the greatest wrestling years ever. Dean cashing in successfully on Seth Rollins, who had just won the title from Roman Reigns, meaning all three former Shield members had been world champion in the same night. This would be the final year before they would introduce the women's variation of the Money in the Bank briefcase, which Carmella absolutely did not win twice. Nope, she won it just one time. And it absolutely wasn't won by a man on one of those times.
That's a lie.
That I absolutely am sure did not happen.
That's a lie, and it's nice.
Of course not. That's stupid. Why would they have a man win women's Money in the Bank? Oh, and remember earlier how I said that Baron Corbin failed his cash-in? Well, that was this same year too. And while the other Money in the Bank holder in Carmella may have had a bit of an awkward cash-in because the referee apparently was suffering from a Chris concussion. But anyway, at least Carmella got to cash in her contract successfully, whereas Baron Corbin was distracted by John Cena at ringside to lose to Jinder Mahal. I really wish there was a way I could go ahead and summarize exactly how I felt by the time Jinder Mahal finally dropped that WWE title. Exactly. And I know the comments are going to be like, don't hinder the Jinder, don't hinder Jinder. And listen, okay, I'm not even entirely anti-Jinder Mahal. I just feel like for a guy that went from basically being a loser to a world champion, didn't need to hold it for 7 months. Unnecessary. Too far. Seriously, what happened in 2017? How do you go from a generational year like 2016 to having Jinder Mahal be champion for 7 months, mowing through the likes of Nakamura, Cash-ins, Randy Orton? Good lord. 2017 was really the beginning of that bad era that I've revisited before. And I say what I'm about to say with the most respect possible, but I'm pretty sure that bad run of WWE all started when Randy Orton sent the Wyatt family to the Shadow Realm for no reason. but I digress. Because think about some things that you could have done in 2017 to make that year more bearable. First of all, Randy Orton doesn't win the Royal Rumble. Even if he does, you have Luke Harper in that WrestleMania match. It's a triple threat, has to be. Second of all, you don't have Bray Wyatt lose the championship after a month and then have this bona fide Jind Brony hold the title for 7. Next, you don't go ahead and have Baron Corbin lose his cash-in. You don't have AJ Styles only become champion at the end of the year. You don't have Kevin Owens doing next to nothing for most of it. Oh, and by the way, you don't go ahead and call up Nakamura and not have him become WWE champion ever. Come on! My point is, by this time, the briefcase still had moments, but it largely felt like more of an obligation. Because by this point in history, it had become largely a loveless marriage, and they were kind of like, well, this is a loveless marriage, but we gotta go ahead and get this thing done. We said we'd do it at least once a year, so I guess the calendar says it's time for us to do it. Okay, here we go. Let's just get this over. But by this point, the Money in the Bank briefcase was basically just saying, let's just cash in already. Let's just get it over and done with. Or maybe let's cash in and just fail to finish. Of course, referencing a year like 2018 with the likes of Alexa Bliss cashing in on the same night, albeit she was a fantastic character around this time. And I'd also like to use this time to go ahead and point out the inconsistencies with the Money in the Bank cash-in. And I know this is such a moment, but in one of the earlier cash-ins, for example, Edge's second on Taker doesn't need to make it back to his feet before the match starts. But then we'd see later cash-ins where it doesn't begin until the champ has been checked on and can go. And then in 2019, you've got Charlotte Flair who's down and out. She's in desperate need of a slurp juice and a med kit. Now, I know a lot of that is semantics. I don't necessarily think it matters all that much, but for me, the original rules were anytime, anywhere, any place for up to a year. So I don't know why it matters if they're healthy or not. But now let's go ahead and talk about Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, two of the most unnecessary Money in the Bank holders of all time. Braun trying to cash in at SummerSlam that year and Brock saying nope.
Fuck your life. Bing bong.
Then trying to cash in several other times before finally getting his cash-in shot at Hell in a Cell, where the whole point was that it would keep other people out, and oh, for fuck's sake, Brock just kicked the door in, and that's another failed cash-in. Fantastic. Brock's win in 2019 where he screws over Mustafa Ali is still to this day one of the worst endings to anything I've ever seen, and I've watched the final season of Dexter. And again, I know, wrestling doesn't make sense. I get it. But at the same time, if I'm Mustafa Ali and this genuine human gorilla is running all the way down to ringside, his riff only just hit and the briefcase is right there, why wouldn't you just go ahead, unhook it, zoom, 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 Sonic style, I'm out, I'm on the first flight to wherever Monday Night Raw is, I'm gone. But no, because the plot armor be plot armoring Brock Lesnar running down to the ring, Mustafa Ali with that stupid look on his face like looking like a FIFA YouTuber thumbnail in 2016. Brock Lesnar still running down to the ring, throws over a ladder by the way, that cameraman's dead.
Who cares?
Brock's here. It's fine, who cares about the dead cameraman under the ladder? Grab his reboot card and get him back later, it's fine. But anyway, Brock would win that Money in the Bank briefcase and cash in on Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules that year to win the title. We then go ahead and hit the pandemic era of WWE, which I said recently that I largely missed. Both in the PC's awkwardness and the Thunderdome artificial sound like it's a fucking 2K game, I said, nah, I'm good, I'll see you guys after this thing has calmed down. But during this time, one thing I did see a little bit of was the very unique Titan Towers Money in the Bank matches, where stars would brawl through the offices and the hallways to get to the top and win the contract. And I'll be completely honest, there is a lot of money,
wait for it,
in the bank for these kinds of opportunities to happen again. Cinematic style Money in the Bank matches, kind of like a Halloween heist from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I'd be so down. Like, even if they didn't do it every single year, I mean, do it every now and again for different match types and stuff, I don't know, I think that'd be cool. Asuka would win the Raw Women's title by not necessarily cashing in, but Becky revealing to her that the match was actually for the title, and she was going away to have baby Rue.
A little bit happier, so you go and be a warrior, because I'm gonna go be a mother. Now,
Otis, on the other hand, is another example of where this briefcase failed. Originally, they tried to sell who owns the briefcase through a bribe, but then also at Hell in a Cell that year, the briefcase is up for grabs and then Tucker turns on Otis, making him another cash-inless winner.
Oh my God, what the hell? Tucker just clocked his best friend with the briefcase. That had to be an accident.
The Miz, of course, would become WWE Champion again after cashing in for a second time, but it didn't last long. That entire Money in the Bank saga with Otis winning it and then losing it to The Miz, it's another one of those, like, seriously, why would you do that? You have him hold the briefcase for half a year with no intention of him ever actually doing anything with that? Like, come on, this contract used to mean something, man. This used to mean something. Although, interesting fact, The Miz and Edge are the only two people in history to have held two briefcases, but technically only won the ladder match once. Over the next few years, the likes of Big E and the Liv of My Life, Liv Morgan, would slowly begin to revive what the contract means by both having really great cash-in moments. The only negative I have with these two is that, again, Liv's was super fast, so it didn't provide an opportunity for many of those classic Money in the Bank characteristics like a custom briefcase or a cash-in tease, or many months to build up a star before the moment actually happened, etc. But you know, I speak for everyone when I say Liv Morgan could have became WWE Champion the second she debuted, and we all would have been fine with it.
The Rock just got word.
Coming.
Big E, on the other hand, whilst his run was decent, it was, like many before him, ended by Lesnar Gate, and instead of getting a rematch, he was forced to compete in a #1 contender match where he lost. And of course, while his status in regard to returning from injury is relatively up in the air, I hope he gets another shot in the future if that's what he wants. Because seriously, Big E, I'm saluting you right now so hard that my hand is so straight that it's curved. Word to Big E and the New Day podcast. The same year also featured Nikki ASH winning Money in the Bank and cashing in successfully. I curse the heavens every day that it was Nikki ASH that became world champion and not Nikki Cross, the much more entertaining of the two characters she played. But Austin Theory's cash-in during late 2022, my goodness, what were they cooking? You're in the midst of Roman's historic reign, so you can't exactly have him cash in there. And this was obviously pre-World Heavyweight Championship, you know, by, I don't know, like 9 months or so. And it's not as if they knew they were bringing in the World Heavyweight Championship in November of 22. So what do you do instead? Have him cash in on the mid-card champion and fail. And this is coming from someone who actually kind of messes with Austin Theory and his character. Like, I think he'll be okay in the long run, but what a weird way to treat the briefcase. Well, actually, with that being said, I say he'll be okay in the long run, but those who shall not be named ruined his theme song. His theme song, A-Town Down, Scream, that was hard. The one now? Stop ruining things I like. I cannot wait until you guys are not called Death Rebel, but you are Rebel. You guys fucking suck. I hope you retire and are inducted into the Mid of Fame. You guys stink. I hate you. It's even weirder because you then have him go on to defeat the greatest of all time at WrestleMania, but he couldn't win the title 6 months prior, the United States title. You ain't gonna become World Wrestling Federation USA champion because Big Bobby is gonna cost ya. We're keeping the strap on Rollins. But hey, don't worry about it, kid, because you can go ahead and beat Cena. What's that? You wanted to cash in successfully too? Big fucking deal. Jokes aside, this really cheapened the briefcase, and while Liv Morgan's cash-in on the same night she won it was very cool, it largely felt like there was no Money in the Bank briefcase holder during this year. Now, looking at the last 2 years, being 2023 and 2024, it's again ups and downs.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, I really expected a lot more, but it turns out you're just a ball fraud. And you're a professional wrestler, right?
Well, technically speaking, yes.
I really hope your professional wrestling career is full of a lot more ups than downs like that.
You stole me. He stole my life.
I had the pleasure of being at Money in the Bank 2023 in London, and to be biased, I will tell you, incredible cash-ins, incredible wins, incredible seeds. Damian holding it until WrestleMania this year and having a fantastic cash-in moment, albeit via the help of CM Punk, it was still a crazy 90-second window of history. Io Sky, on the other hand, having a relatively short run with the Money in the Bank briefcase, cashing in successfully at SummerSlam 2023 and having a lengthy reign with the title before she would eventually lose it to Bayley. Now, if we had just gone ahead and paused time right there, then I would be like, oh, maybe Triple H is trying to revive the Money in the Bank briefcase. Maybe he's doing something. Maybe he's trying gonna make it what it used to be. I would have said maybe Theory was a fluke in the midst of an era of change and where you're kind of half still and half Triple H and not a whole lot of options to cash in. Maybe that was a fluke. But unfortunately, Drew McIntyre in 2024 exists, and I say once again, I scream once again, Drew McIntyre is one of the greatest to ever do it, and by no means am I slandering him. I can see why you would go with him. It furthered the CM Punk rivalry, but you didn't need the briefcase to do that, did you? If you literally remove the briefcase and Punk instead attacks McIntyre during the actual ladder match, then you still cook the same egg, to be honest. And listen, okay, I know that some of you have begun to sour on this person I'm about to say, but it's true. Genuinely, Yeet in the Bank was a way better agenda than Drew winning. I'm sorry, okay? You can say the Yeet thing's outdated, it's annoying, whatever, it works, the people are into it, I like it. He should have been Mr. Money in the Bank right now. With how involved in the bloodline story he was, his history with Cody Rhodes, I don't know why you wouldn't go with that path instead, but I digress. Now, Tiffany Stratton, as of now, is still holding her briefcase, and I've really enjoyed her run with it so far. The utilization of making her Money in the Bank briefcase into her Barbie-esque gimmick by making a handbag, it's very mindful, it's very demure, it's very cutesy.
Who's Sugargate? Call me Sugargate one more time.
Never being the allegation.
What?
I will say, while they haven't done it for everybody, the custom briefcases that the likes of Rob Van Dam, Mr. Kennedy, Damian Sandow, Damian Priest, Brock Lesnar, and now Tiffany Stratton have had are very nice touches to their characters in general. I think Tiffany will cash in successfully, whether it's on Nia, maybe at Bad Blood, or it's at a later point. I think Tiffany is a guaranteed future world champion. And I suppose, Tiffany, if I'm wrong about that, if I've gone ahead and jinxed you, you should probably just, you know, beat me up and hit me in the mouth and spit on me and step on my cubes.
Why?
What are you doing?
What I'm trying to say is Tiffany is a wildly impressive star both in ring and character, and she's just getting started. Now, overall, the Money in the Bank briefcase's downfall can largely be attributed to the fact originally it was something that wasn't completely oversaturated, and it also was a tool used to elevate superstars that were just about to take that next step into being bona fide. And with this, you never really knew who was going to win a lot of those early matches, because it quite easily could have been a Jeff Hardy in 2007, or an Evan Bourne in 2010, or an MVP. But then during the 2010s, when you have little options of superstars that you can actually elevate, I mean, you look at SmackDown during 2012, 2013, where it's a glorified clips and, you know, rematch show, there's not a whole lot of options that you can really go ahead and give that leg up to the main event, really. Although with that being said, I will go ahead and die on a hill and say that Justin Gabriel and even Yoshi Tatsu, you could have done more with those two if you really wanted to, and if you really tried. Even a Heath Slater you could have done more with if you really tried. Sorry. And don't get me started on the mistreatment of Wade Barrett over the years. Oh my goodness. But with a seemingly lack of options, you basically have to keep up with the briefcase because you've already established it, but by 2013, it's no longer being used for what it was actually originally designed for. And then even when you actually do have superstars like Baron Corbin or like a Damian Sandow who can be used in that kind of angle, in that kind of spot to elevate them to the next level, you have them lose, making it largely pointless again. Honestly, if I was running things, I go ahead and scrap the Money in the Bank pay-per-view and bring it back to WrestleMania, where it opens, the damn show opens night one, and it means something again.